Lauren Young, whenever you're ready.
Hi, my name is Lauren Oktovic, and I'm an undergraduate student at the University of Mount Union, and today I'll be presenting to you Ishihara tests and how they deal with perception. So, Dr. Shinobu Ishihara was the creator of these tests. He created the original one with the 24-plate format, which included ones with numbers as well as designs within them. So the test itself is made to test red-green color blindness at the best, but it can also test other color deficiencies. So in itself, these have numbers within them and a plain background behind them with colors opposite of each other. So like a red number or a green number with red or green on the outside opposing each other. So this test is done for the deficiency purposes. So in this, there's tests with 15 are most common, and often if you have 13 out of 15 or more correct, you're seen with normal vision, and if you have 9 or less seen, then you are deficient with this vision. So color blindness itself is a X-linked trait. So this means that it's on the X chromosome, and it can also be carried in mothers without even showing it for the fact that they can be heterozygous for this trait, meaning that one of the X's can carry the trait while the other one does not. So it will actually cover the trait for color blindness and not show up, but a son may still have it based on the fact that he has a Y chromosome and an X chromosome. So the Y chromosome cannot cover the X chromosome that has the trait within it. So also shown in a study by Hoffman and Minazzi, it was seen that 8% of men have color blindness, whereas only 0.5% of women actually have color blindness, which again strengthens the fact that a heterozygous trait can actually cause the cancellation of this. So in a study done by Choi and Wang, they had 115 subjects of 3 to 6-year-old children. This study was done in Japan. For this, they showed each of them a series of plates, and they were given the instructions to look at the plates and tell the number or design within it. If they could not understand the directions or say the number, they were given a cotton-tipped pointer to trace out the design so they could see if they were able to view it or not. So in this, the results of this were that 3 out of 51 males and 0 out of 64 females showed deficiencies in color blindness. So after they were shown deficient traits, they were again shown plates for a total of 3 trials to make sure that they were really deficient and that they really understood the information given with it. The results of this test actually showed that the percentages from most studies which showed men over women have colorblind deficiencies also supported this. In another study done by Dane and Almerdaf, they showed that actually using color blindness plates is actually difficult in our world today because it's really hard to get a hold of accurate plates. So they were trying to figure out if there was a possibility if they could actually make the Ishihara test be on a phone application or an iPad application or something like a laptop that can be used on that, which is most likely able to be found in every household today. So within this, they found a couple issues: screen brightness, screen size, as well as the resolution of each of the screens. Once they were able to figure out if these were all issues within Ishihara tests and actually viewing the colors themselves with color blindness, they were able to see that once they figured this out, they actually were able to implement these into applications that were actually quite accurate for figuring out color blindness. Throughout the research process, there are many questions that were posed to us. So the first question has to deal with creativity and the perception of reality. So the first thing I looked at was imagination, because to me this has a lot to do with creativity. So imagination and creativity themselves, I think, really impact somebody's perception on their life as well as reality. So I like to put this with color blindness. So say we see grass as this bright, vibrant green. Somebody who is colorblind may not see it as the same color, or even somebody from Florida may not see the same grass as we see here today. So I really like to see this as the perception of reality. So everybody themselves has their own idea of perception. Whether you're 6 foot tall or 4 foot tall, you obviously have a different viewpoint on that, as well as if you're colorblind or not. So I think this really has to do with imagination and creativity, so you can absolutely get the best out of the world around us today. So there's a quote up here by Jordan, and it reads, "It can help us decide whether or not science is right when it says there is only one reality and it's the only one we see with our eyes." This quote has to do with imagination as well as creativity in her paper. So this kind of again goes along with the grass kind of problem that I was saying before. So she's saying that there's only one reality, which is proven in science, is what they attempt to prove. So by using imagination and creativity, we can often see that there's more than one version of creativity in our world and more than one version of imagination, which can actually skew our reality, which can then prove that there is not just one form of reality. Another paper by Lane showed that imagination and reality in children is really big. So they say that a lot of children have, like for an example, an imaginary friend. But he studied that this is actually really rooted in reality. So it's not just imagination as we feel, oh, let's be creative today. This is actually their reality, how they view things and what their life around them is. So it's not just imagination to them, it actually is their reality. So this will, again, skew perception of the world today. So now I will be doing my demonstration for you. And I used 2 poster boards. I cut the circles out of the first one, and then I glued buttons on each. I drew in numbers, and I coded the buttons in them. I have these 2 white and black ones over here, which will be showing normal vision, because anybody colorblind or not will be able to demonstrate the difference between these. In the top corner over here, you see ones that are blue and purple, which are very hard to show from each other, which is attempting to demonstrate what it might be like if you were colorblind, because it's very hard to show the shades between those as looking. And on the bottom corner one is the red and green test that may be seen in a typical Ishihara test to kind of try and determine if you're red-green colorblind. So would my volunteer like to come up here and see if they can do the numbers? So start with the black and white one. Can you do the number?
Top.
Either one is the same one.
Oh, 46.
What about the red and green one on the bottom?
Just a 1.
It is a 1. And now how about the purple and blue one? It's actually a 3. So I'm assuming you don't have a red-green colorblindness or any colorblindness, am I right? But as you can see, you can go ahead and sit down. Thank you. As you can see, it was actually very difficult for him to determine between the blue and the purple, which can be seen when an actual person may have colorblindness. They can't show the shades as easily. So I'll pass this around so you can see it. So as I pass this around, I'll try and discuss a few things that go along with this that I've learned in schooling. So the first foundations that I had was my Biology 140 course. This is in natural science. So within this, we learned about the anatomy of the eye a little bit, as well as kind of how it works. So Gordon kind of backed this up with the sodium-potassium pump and like how everything works in our body and with our memories and imagination. So that was really cool to learn then, and it's kind of nice to see that it overlaps with this itself. Another thing we learned in this biology course was about DNA coding, as well as the X-linked kind of deficiencies or diseases that people may have. So as you can see, I already spoke about it, that red-green colorblindness is actually an X-linked deficiency. So again, this means that the deficiency is marked on one of the X chromosomes, which means that women can be heterozygous for it, and men will have the trait because they have an X and Y chromosome. Another thing that they were looking at within the biological aspect of it was the ability for a cure for colorblindness. They were speaking about the fact that you could possibly have surgeries within your eye that may be able to restore your ability to see certain colors or enhance them. So the next kind of foundation that we are looking at is my Art 100A course. This again, obviously, is an art course, and it was my introduction to art class. And we learned a lot of the basics, so that has to do with tints and shades and how we view them and how we can use them to help better our projects. So this kind of helped me make my project with the buttons a little more unique in the way of just typically doing the computer-generated one or maybe a painted one. So that helped me with that aspect of it. When I was looking a little more into art, I found a really cool thing by Harbison. He was actually a blind artist, a colorblind artist, who was able to give a demonstration of colors and add frequencies to them so that children with color blindness would be able to tell the difference between the colors. The other person that I have here was Wagner. She decided that she was going to teach art to colorblind students by helping learn and understand how they see the colors to better kind of guide them into the direction of seeing the colors how normal people may see the colors. So this then led to my next question, which was reality and creation process. So realism in art, what is it? Everybody here has their own idea of realistic art. So that you may see is like a painting of a classroom or a photo or something like that. But art itself is what you make it, personally, your own version of a reality. In a paper by Stone, they said that individual perception and potential is your own. This basically means that each person can have their own viewpoint on things and their own reality, but it can still be realistic, even if somebody else does not feel it is. This itself can also change reality. In conclusion, it is extremely important that we realize that colorblindness is indeed an X-linked trait, which means that women, although may not show signs of it, can also indeed have the trait, but may be carriers of it and can actually give it to their sons or daughters if they may. So another thing is that Ishihara tests are really useful when determining colorblind deficiencies, especially when it's looking at red-green deficiencies, as well as the idea of colorblindness and perception itself. So colorblindness may actually impact the way people perceive the world around them. So it may actually help people to understand or not understand certain things around them. Another thing that I like to point out is that a lot of the things we see, even perception-wise in the world around us, is that we ourselves perceive things differently. And so just like foundations courses have different courses, they all guide together. These are my sources. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you.
You can put it anywhere towards the back where you see some space. It's yours to keep.